Fiancé 30M found out about my 28F college days, hasn't talked to me in 3 days. I get this is the end? I've been with my fiancé for 2 years, engaged for 2 months. I can go on and on about how great he is, but I won't waste your time. He's awesome. Him and my sister's boyfriend have gotten really close over the past year, and they talk at least twice a week, whether on the phone or FaceTime, or just hanging out with all 4 of us. Sister has been with her boyfriend since high school, so obviously her boyfriend knows me very well, as well as my dating history. Last weekend BC of the quarantine, we all thought it would be fun to drink and hang out over FaceTime. It was a FaceTime double date, and we all had a blast. Laughing, playing drinking games, we all partied for over an hour, and that's when I was over it and decided to leave the party to call my sister directly without the boys in another room. Well, my fiancé and her boyfriend stayed on FaceTime and continued to get drunk together. During this time I couldn't hear us at BC. I was in another room and was talking to my sister. Sister's boyfriend goes and tells a bunch of stories about my college days and how many guys I hooked up with. Just so everyone knows, my first 3 years of college was literally one giant party. Without being too descriptive, I admit I was excessive. But at the time it was just what we did. I was single during that time, and me and my friends did a lot with a lot of guys. Most of them I couldn't even pick out of a lineup. But again, I was in college. Anyways, one of the parties I went to, I ended up hooking up with 4 different guys at the same time. This is relevant later. My fiancé is handsome as duck, and I know for a fact he's been with several women. We talked about our past a lot in the beginning of our relationship. I wasn't 100% honest with mine, and I can only assume that he was. After everyone hung up, me and my fiancé were laying in bed and about to sleep when he just calmly asked me, "Did you get Jean banged in college?" My response was, "WTF? Why would you ask that?" That's when he told me everything that my sister's BF told him. He told me details I'm not even sure are 100% true. BC again, blur. But a lot of the info was accurate, and so I just told him yes. It was one time. He continued asking questions about the other stuff, but the gangbang thing kept coming up. He had a lot of questions about it that I answered the best of my knowledge. Fast forward to Wednesday. Things had been fine and normal. Sun moaned Tuesday, but on Wednesday, radio silence. He hasn't texted or talked to me in 3 days. The breaking point was tonight when he came home from work and he asked me, "Are you friends with any of the guys on Facebook?" Again, not lying to him, I admitted that yes, I was friends with all of them. He left a few hours ago, and I have no idea where he is or what he's doing. I'm tempted to call the cops, but I feel like that will just make it worse. I feel like garbage. I ducking hate my sister's BF right now, but maybe it's not even his fault. Maybe I should have been more honest. I'm so lost. He is the best thing to ever happen to me, and I've never seen him like this before. Is this the end? He refuses to return my calls, texts. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1. Your husband may be particularly concerned that you maintained connections even if over Facebook with these men during your relationship, especially given the lying. Your husband just found out that you not only lied to him, but kept connections with all the people you lied about. That's obviously going to be a shocker. This is why honesty is so key. Why do you have all these casual hookups as friends on Facebook anyway? Not trying to hate. Genuinely curious. Your husband will likely need a pretty damn good explanation on that one as well. Redditor follow-up. I totally agree with this. History is normal and to be expected, but it can be concerning when history is part of the present. Lose the connections of these guys on Facebook. When I got engaged, I did this. Deleted a bunch of old connections. Wife and I have a lot of confidence and trust in one another. Redditor 2. Okay, why on earth would you call the cops? No. Don't do that. How are y'all engaged and he didn't know about any of this? Redditor 3. Don't call the police. Update. Fiancé left me after he found out about my crazy college days. This is the second time I'm updating BC. My first one got deleted. He eventually came back in the middle of the night and we talked until the morning. We both agreed that he needs to distance himself from the relationship while he figures stuff out. He admitted the only thing he cared about was the gangbang, and he told me he couldn't get the visual out of his head. He then told me about a threesome he had in college, which I think is totally made up, and he just wanted to get a rise out of me, but who knows. It just sounded so unbelievable, and it felt like he was trying to get back at me. We did make love before we went to sleep, but it was not good. And by not good I mean he felt like he was just trying to punish me once again. Everything was weird from the kissing to the ending being vague. Here BC, this part is probably what got my post deleted last time. He left in the morning to go stay with his parents and I haven't seen him since. We still text every day, but it's different. Everything is different, and at this point I'm almost positive we aren't going to get married. And again, at this point, I'm okay with that. I know I ducked up and I know I lied, and all I can do is live and learn. As soon as this quarantine ends, I plan on using my work program that helps people find therapists. It's part of my benefits, and I've never used it before, and I'm legitimately excited to start working on myself for the future, whatever may happen between me and him. Now, to everyone who left me nice messages. I couldn't reply to you all, so I'm just saying thank you for your help and your advice. None of you know me and you are all awesome, and I hope everyone nothing but the best. To the people who left me horrible messages. Yes, I read every one of them. No, your names do not hurt me. I am not perfect and never claim to be, and I know I have a lot of work to do. But I hope all of you happiness in your perfect relationships with your perfect selves, and good luck with everything. Also, just want to point out there was some confusion about who I was friends with on Facebook. It was just the 4 guys from the gangbang that I was friends with, not every guy I'd ever been with. And I've since deleted every single one of them. Again, my duck up. Live and learn. Redditor's reactions story 2 after. Redditor 1. Some people like soccer, some like NASCAR, some like mayonnaise, some don't. Some are cool with their partner being gene-banged, some are not. C'est la vie. Redditor 2. Here's a comment I left on another post like this. To everyone saying Tamil history doesn't matter at all, you're dumb. To everyone trying to project their conservative views onto everyone else, you're also dumb. Based on your post, I would guess that he is a serial monogamist. The whole threesome thing he talked about is probably bullshit, like you already suggested. For people like that, trying to be with someone who has had a significantly longer Tamil history is already a challenge, because to them it seems like the other person does not see time as the same sort of special and intimate thing as they do, obviously. Group time is taking it up a notch on the hard-to-swallow history pill scale. Statistically, very few people ever actually are involved with something like that. He may be reconsidering if he really wants to commit for life to someone who historically has not placed the same emotional premium on time as he has, and he's within his rights to be thinking that way. The fact that your history isn't something you regret is perfectly fine, because we all get to decide for ourselves how we think of and partake in time. But for him, that's a sign that you haven't really changed, and that the time you're having is a much bigger deal for him than it is for you. To clarify that, I mean that if he's a serial monogamist, he's extremely selective in who he sleeps with, and there has to be an emotional connection first. You, on the other hand, have historically not seen things that way, which is fine, but represents a misalignment and potential incompatibility in your relationship that this revelation has just reminded him of. You're going to get a lot of comments here saying your fiancé is insecure, and dumb, and a misogynist. If my assumption that he's a serial monogamist is correct, then he is not any of those things. All he is, in that case, is someone who just realized he's with somebody who views time in a completely different light than he does. It's also extremely embarrassing to learn things like that about your partner in front of others or from others for serial monogamists. Extremely. I don't consider myself a serial monogamist, and I'd still be embarrassed and cringing. Hey, did you know your future wife was at the center of a gangbang? Guess what? Here are the guys on Facebook. Clearly, if you had been honest with him from the start, you would never have reached this point in the first place. That should be your biggest takeaway here. You deserve someone who likes you for you, including your history. He deserves someone who aligns with his preferences. You robbed both him and yourself of the chance to find the right person for years. You also need to recognize that anyone telling you your history is normal is likely a part of Reddit's disproportionate community of swingers, open relationshipers. Insert alternative lifestyle here. They're called alternative lifestyles because they're not normal. That doesn't mean they're wrong, but most men are not looking to settle down with someone with a history like yours, and most women would feel the same about a man with similar history. On the spectrum from Puritan to porn star, your history places you way up on the curve towards porn star. That's just the reality. Redditor follow-up. As a serial monogamist, this is pretty much sums my thoughts on it. Power to you if you want to hook up with folks and forget the number, but it's a conflict of preference and ideals, and with Op's situation it's not too hard to see why he would be so distraught about it. Redditor 3. You don't need to wait to start therapy. Most therapists are doing telehealth. Just starting now will empower you during the initial breakup. Most EAP programs can get you started with 6 sessions. Be strong and don't beat yourself up too much. Most people make mistakes and we end up punishing ourselves more than anyone else can. You are all right. Keep your head up. Op answer, I'm gonna look into this. I had no clue about any of it, just found out about the work benefit a few days ago, so thank you. Story 2. My husband 33M wants to divorce me 33F after he found out about my past. Please help me. I am lost and don't know what to do. We have been married for 5 years, dating for 3. He did not know about my past, and I didn't tell him everything for the fear of this happening. Someone told him all about what I did in college. He confronted me, but I couldn't say anything and just started to cry. That was 2 days ago. He told me that he wants a divorce. He is avoiding me and ignoring me for these 2 days. I have tried to apologize, but he won't budge. What can I do to fix this? We had no problems whatsoever before this and were a really happy couple. How do I get my husband back? Edit. I was promiscuous and had multiple gene bangs during my college years. Redditor's reaction. Story 3 after. Redditor 1. So, reading through comments, you cheated on a BF, had group S time multiple times, it was recorded, you lied to your husband when he asked about your past, and he found out because the ex you cheated on back then sent him video proof. The man found out his wife is a liar, cheater, participated in group S time, and saw the amateur PRN clip all at the same time. It would take a miracle to come back from that. Redditor follow-up. Reading this gives credibility to Op's husband compared to Op's post where she's trying to bring validity to her that was in the past case. Redditor 2. Given that you won't even tell us, I'd imagine it's as bad as he thinks it is. Redditor 3. A lot of gene bang related stories in this sub. I think it should be a rule now to ask on a first date if either person has ever been involved in a gene bang before. It would save time and grief. Redditor follow-up. According to Reddit guys who care about a woman's past regardless of what it may entail are insecure. Story 3. My 24M girlfriend 24F had a gene bang before we met. I just found out by reading her journal and I don't know how to bring it up. Throw RA. I'll start off with saying that I've been my GF for 4 years strong, living together for the last 3 years. Everything is great, I love this girl with all my heart, we have a great life together, and I intend on marrying her one day. I've been planning on proposing. But from the title, I've found out some news a few months back that's been eating at me, and I'm not sure how to feel about it. I still love her, want to be with her and don't judge her for this. But I still feel a sense of insecurity and a need to try and talk to her about this. I know I'm a horrible person for doing this, but I found out by reading her private journal. I had always seen this journal on her desk and wondered what it was. She was at school pre-COVID one day and I could not help myself. At the time I did not know it was her private journal, but it became obvious after the first page. I knew she partied pretty hard compared to me, but I had no idea of the extent. A few threesomes here and there with 2 guys, and an impressive number of hookups in the dozens. Quite shocking considering our S-time life is as vanilla as it gets. Also, she had never mentioned or talked about these experiences even though I've been very open with my S-time will pass vanilla AF compared to hers. Then I got to the Gene Bang part. It wasn't detailed but only mentioned the names of the guys and how wild the whole thing was. I was shocked. My stomach knotted up and I felt a massive wave of anxiety. I almost felt as if I didn't know this person. The Gene Bang involved 3+ guys, most guys who've I've met before. She has a close group of friends, acquaintances, and in a place I've been before. And yes, aside from violating her privacy, which I will own up to. I want to talk about this. But when I think about the conversation, I'm not sure what I'll get out of it. We've talked about marriage and the commitment to honesty and loyalty we have with each other. But I get the sense that she never intended on telling me this or half of the content in her journal for that matter. She's been okay with me hanging out with some of these guys she did this with no sense of guilt? That I don't know what happened? I've been kept in the dark and it feels awful. I don't want to be an entitled guy thinking that I deserve to know everything, and I absolutely don't want to shame her for this. But damn, I remember we hung out with a girl I made out with once at a party, and in my semi-drunken state after the party, I said to her that she deserves to know that this girl and I had a thing before she and I had started dating. It was just a kiss, but in my mind, she at least deserved to know who she's in the room with. She did get slightly upset that she didn't know beforehand, but was thankful for the honesty. So, at what point do I deserve to know these things? If at all. Am I justified? Do I navigate my emotions about this by myself and forget I've read this, or do I try to have a discussion about it? Would it be fair that I ask her not to hang out with those guys anymore? We live a few hours from the city we grew up in. We go see her friends and our families every few weeks pre-COVID. I understand we all have a past, some of us strive to forget it. But I was raised with a strong moral of owning up to your actions, and accepting the consequences for those actions. It's an interesting dynamic. I don't know if my young and naive self would have even started a serious relationship with her knowing what I do. With that said, I can try to justify the secrecy, but I don't really feel any better about it. She says I'm the love of her life and she is mine. But this is eating away at me. How do I talk to her about this? Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1. You're gonna get a lot of the same bad advice on this sub and I'll probably get downvoted to oblivion. You have a right to not want to be with anyone for any reason. Including no reason at all. You don't owe anyone a relationship. How you found out was wrong but now you know. You might as well talk to her about it. It is odd that she expects you to be open about your sexual past but didn't offer you the same. Take that into consideration and remind her of that if all she wants to discuss is you reading her journal. Op answer, thank you for that. I think the act of violating her privacy, my feelings are mute and not of value anymore. Redditor 2, call me old-fashioned, the biggest part of this that smacks of disrespect is her still hanging out with these guys, and dragging you along with her. That's all kinds of ducked up. In my 40+ years on this earth, I've never known someone who would do that to their partner. Whether you like it or not, after you share a sexual experience with someone, they fall into the X category. Ex-fling, ex-duck buddy, etc. She's essentially having you hang out with a gaggle of her exes without you knowing. So ducked up, this is deal-breaker territory for any sensible person. I go ahead and take a long think on if this is the sort of disrespect you can tolerate from a lifelong partner. If not, then your next step from here is obvious. Redditor 3, dude, it's not an accident that she hasn't brought any of this up. It isn't a bad thing for you to want to dump her. She obviously has a past that bothers you, and most other guys too. Who gives a s that you read her journal? It was laying on a desk in the open and you didn't even know what it was. She's been okay with me hanging out with some of these guys she did this with no sense of guilt? That I don't know what happened? I've been kept in the dark and it feels awful. Yeah, because she thinks you are a chump, and so do her friends. I almost felt as if I didn't know this person. You don't, you just see the act she puts on for you now that she wants to settle down. I don't want to be an entitled guy thinking that I deserve to know everything. Why do you think you don't deserve to know everything about the woman you are in a serious relationship with, talking about marriage? You absolutely deserve to know everything before you commit yourself. This would be a 100% deal breaker for me, and she basically hid it from you because it probably would have been one for you as well. Deal breaker then, deal breaker now. So, at what point do I deserve to know these things? Yeah, this is why you have the time will history talk before you get serious. Save yourself a lot of time on the next relationship and have it early. You are either comfortable with something like this, or you're not, and you are not. That will not change no matter how much you try. Every time you see those dudes, you are going to picture them ducking your girl. Every smirk you see will be them knowing they used your girlfriend as time toy and you high-five them later. Seriously, man. It will eat you up. Answer, this is exactly the mentality I was approaching the whole situation with. I had many conversations about our sexual past, but I do realize now she was hardly answering my questions. I'm still pretty conflicted though. I don't necessarily think it's an act, or that there is any malicious intent on her part here. And at least for me, what was a deal breaker then is not a deal breaker now, simply because I know that attitude was immature and superficial. We aren't perfect, right? But why do we place an expectation of perfection on those we love? I think in time, I will move on. She already has. The choice is if I want to bring her into my process of moving on. Redditor 4, but I was raised with a strong moral of owning up to your actions, and accepting the consequences for those actions. So I guess you'll be owning up to reading her journal then?